SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. That is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to episode 89 of the SmashFactor, the Mayakoba Classic 2019 edition. Our next to last PGA quote unquote fall swing tournament. Little 2-week break there, or 1 week actually off, but 2 weeks in my mind without having to do much of golf. I'm looking forward to a full field tournament, a cut event. Although we don't get shot tracker back, it's a little bit of a negative, but at least we get a full cut. Pretty fun tournament overall. Even the players have a little fun out there, as we've seen them on the balcony at times of the course. Without me tonight, I do not have a podcast partner. Late yesterday, Mr. Nagels emailed me, and then we had a visit, and he has decided to move on to other things. His choice, not mine. Wish him nothing but the best of luck. Hopefully we'll still be involved with him on maybe sponsoring his Wednesday night deal. I think that was more of his style, and this just wasn't working for him per se. His kind of personality, the way he likes it. He has a unique style that I actually like. I have no hard feelings with him at all. Maybe get him on as a guest every once in a while. With it coming kind of late, it happened last night, but I took the night off, kind of spent some time with the family. So I didn't kind of catch up to everything till today. So I didn't really have time to kind of scramble and get anybody. And I really didn't want to. It's, being when we got 2 tournaments left, I'll wing it, for this week and next week solo. This will be a pretty quick pod in general. Obviously no shot tracker. I'm battling a little sickness, as you'll see. I know Saturday night, if you were with us on the Audible, you felt it. You heard me doing that. Doesn't help that it was 70 degrees this morning, 76 at lunch, and now it is approaching 40 degrees here. So we have for down here in the South, a major cold front coming in. So kind of up and down weather gets the body, kind of sick at times. I think lack of sleep, stress, all that kind of stuff doesn't help at all, but we'll fight through it. I am excited about the tournament. I think pretty decent field, top heavy per se. I mean, not loaded by any means, but once you get below 7,500, 7,000, it gets kind of dicey in there. So another tough 6-6 week, in my opinion, especially with the T65. But I know we'll have you covered, Kenny, Kim, and Tambo, with their pod and their content on the website as well. We'll do our best to get everybody locked and loaded this week as we missed PGA. We'll do the RSM next week, and then we get, I believe, a 4 or 5 week break before the Tournament of Champions, and we start the full 2020 season. So looking forward to that. Obviously, nothing to review from last week. If you've taken a few weeks off and not been around, we announced our Honda giveaway, which I'll do a little bit more detail towards the end of the pod, or just kind of recapping it. But as always, if you heard that, rate and review us on iTunes, helps a ton. It gets you a ticket into the giveaway. Also, doesn't get you a ticket, but please, if you can go to Instagram, Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube or Twitch, that helps as well. Leaving us a review on iTunes will get you a ticket into the Honda giveaway. What's the Honda giveaway? If you haven't been in tune the last couple of weeks, if you did the annual sign up last year, or the big push when we went live February 4th of this year to our premium membership, we did a huge kickoff for the Blue Jack National trip that Bucks, myself, Moose, and we had a guest win the trip based on whoever had bought certain packages that got in. Well, this year, I'll say at least the majority of the Gups Corner team, along with some other DFS industry guys like Jeff Feinberg, and potentially Ryan Baroff will be there. And I think of several more in the, I think they're going to be there as well. There'll be some more news coming out on that later on. I know Jeff and Ryan will be there. I saw them last year and the year before for Jeff. So big week. Gups Corner is going to fly you out. You can come out as early as Tuesday night. That's when we all arrive. We'll be there through Monday. So if your schedule allows, you get 6 nights, free round trip, paid for by us, 6 nights in our private beach house by the course that we've already got reserved. If you can only make it Thursday or Friday or whatever, you can make it. We'll work around that. And you have full access anytime you want to come. And then we're playing 2 rounds of golf at least minimum every day that we go to the Honda. That's provided for you as well. Tickets already bought. Plus, the goodies, merchandise, few dinners, I'm sure. Nightlife, Jupiter Nightlife, everything, all-inclusive trip paid for by Gups Corner. Someone will win. There's 6 different ways for current subscribers and potentially new subscribers to earn tickets. So you can potentially get 6 tickets. Plus, if you get all 6, you'll get a bonus ticket. So you could technically get 7 entries into the drawing. We will hold that, or we will have it on Super Bowl Sunday at some point in time. And then Monday on the podcast for the AT&T Pebble Beach, we will announce the winner, which will only be like 3 weeks before the tournament. So we'll have to get flights booked and all that kind of stuff happening pretty quick. But it'll be an awesome trip with all the guys, several $1,000s for free for you, whoever winds up winning that. So be sure to keep an eye out on Twitter, at Gups Corner, myself, any of the team. Gupscorner.com will have a page somewhere where we will let you know all the information, ways you can get entered into that. As always, you can join Gups Corner now. If you haven't, there's going to be a laundry list of ways to get into that. So buying annual membership between either content analysis, football package, or the golf tools package that'll be coming out for the Tournament of Champions. Rate and review us is one way. And then if you buy a combo merchandise, so a hat and a shirt, that gets you another entry. And there's a couple more that we'll get out there that, hopefully you guys enjoy that and it'll be a good trip for everybody. There was no listener league last week, but the listener league is up on at Gups Corner Twitter. It's on there. And then I'll post it in with the pod tonight as well. If you haven't seen it, or JB may have it in the YouTube feed as well. This week we are at the El Camino Golf Club in Mexico by Playa de Carmen. If you haven't been there, it's beautiful. Buddy had had his wedding there 2 years ago, right outside of it. I didn't get to play that course, but I was around there. Looks awesome. Looks like, and obviously I think the golf guys enjoy, especially this time of year. It's pretty warm down here, but I know up north, especially where like Tampa is, it's been like snowing for weeks and months. So the people, if you're up there, you'd love to get it down there right now. I'm not going to go into big in-depth on the course. Kenny Kim posts his full-depth article on our website this year, and then he also goes in depth on the Fantasy DGen podcast. My personal notes, which is just kind of very, very small compared to Kenny's in-depth stuff. His stuff's awesome. Par 71, really short, 6,900. Paus Palm grass all the way around. Fairly slowish type greens. Less than driver course all the way around, pretty much short off the tee. Not a lot of trouble even in the rough. So you can look at good drive percentage or fairways gain, either way you want. That's been around -1, but I, just with the T65 and the small data, I've been able to kind of look at a few things. I'm moving it up about 0.75 to 1.5 strokes, depending on the type of tournament. For this one, the winner's potentially 20 under type. I'm going to say the cut's going to be around -3 for me. I think that'll -2, -3 is probably where I see it, with the winner being, still about the same. You just, the T65 thing does enhance the cut line just a little bit. Greg Norman design, beautiful course. The weather kind of makes it difficult at times, but there's some few showers potentially in the weather forecast right now, but not really a ton. No wind at all. So even if it rains, it doesn't look, spotty showers kind of off the coast there at best. So I really see it pretty much playing like it has the last few years. As you can see, Bombers don't necessarily have an advantage. It doesn't mean they can't win here, but Kuchar won last year. Of course, we're returning to the scene of the crime of the whole him stiffing the caddy and all that stuff. I'm sure you will get that regurgitated among many, many pods this week. So I'm not going to go into that, being that I don't have a person to kind of bounce it off of and get the opinion. I really don't care. It is what it is. It's their personal kind of life decision. I know Kenny and Tambo will go at it on it as they did last year many times with Kuchar. So I'll just enjoy listening to them. Kuchar hadn't played in a while, so I don't really know how he'll be here. One thing I had in my notes is that it doesn't really seem, there's guys that have won this, then missed cuts, top 5 missed cuts, top 10 missed cuts. There are some guys that have, they do well here every year. Pat Perez does well here, but he's also T69, missed a cut. So course history doesn't see, and that could be many reasons, right? It could be, did they drink bad water that week? So they got, or did they drink too much tequila that week? So it wasn't a good week. I mean, it seems to be a type of event that I wouldn't rely too much on course history. Not that we do a lot of the time. The way that it is this year with the schedule, they've also had a break. And if they didn't make the WGC, they may have really had a long break. So recent form is going to be touch and go. I'm still going to favor some of the guys that have been playing throughout this fall swing, the Safeway, the Shriners, Houston, CJ Cup, Zozo, those kind of tournaments that at least somewhat a form, because we've only taken a week off. I mean, it's not like we've taken a ton of time off, but I do expect some rust from a guy like Kuchar. I may be on him just because of, being that he's high priced, no recent form, maybe nobody's really on him. So ownership may play a big part this week, especially by the time we get to Wednesday night. For me, I'm looking at, always going to be ball striking and approach. I think this week it really does matter some. I'm heavily weighting greens and red gained. I think, anytime you have that low scoring type potential, it's going to be 18, 20 under. You got to hit greens. You got to hit fairways. Here, the rough didn't seem too much. So even if you miss off the fairway a little bit, hitting greens is big. Strokes gained par 5. So par 5 scoring in general, I think is high here. So I did bring that into the equation, the model, quote unquote. And then, it's not a no cut event, but being high score, I did look at a little bit of the birdie scoring or birdie or better gain, however you want to look at that. That's kind of where I focused, at least initially on Monday night. Let me get back. Okay. So other than that, I don't know where I'm going to go for sure. I'm really going to rely on a little bit of everything and just kind of look at the overall golfer, because with not real recent form and then the course history doesn't matter, but I will weigh it at times, especially tiebreaker, especially because these greens aren't something that guys see a lot and that grass isn't something they see a lot. So like Russell Knox seems to putt really well here. Pat Perez putts really well here. So those type of guys, if I'm kind of on the fence, I may, weigh heavily on that. Our boy HV3, he's got a 5th and a 6th, and then he missed a cut. He didn't play here in 2017, but 3 of the last 5 years. Russell Knox, as I mentioned, he's played here 4 of the last 5 years. Didn't play last year, but he's got a 9th, a 3rd, a 2nd, and a 32nd or 37th. My number one guy, my model, Griot's got a 15th, a 9th, a 10th. So there is some consistency on the course history that I will weigh it at times, but I'm not going to, I guess the best way to say it is I'm not going to discount somebody because they don't have any or they're up and down. But I do like people that seem to be familiar with this routine and coming out here. Pat Perez will probably get talked up quite a bit. Even like a Bryce Garnett, kind of under the radar, maybe $7,600. He's got a 6th, a 7th, a 5th, and a 25th. Whatever it is about this place, even though he's not real high on my stat model, overall it comes in great when you kind of put it all together. So kind of a mix and match this week. There's not just one. I don't think there's one area you can just focus on. If you're new to the pod, we kind of have a format. I may tweak it and adjust it as it's just a solo for now, but we have the Dirty Dozen. First tier is I get 3 picks in each one, 9K and above, 7,600 to 8,900, 7,500 or less, and then a flop, fade, and a sleeper. So I get us 12 guys, and then being just by myself, I'll throw in some other guys that kind of were right on the bubble there, didn't fit in those categories, call it the round table wrap up. Go through a few bets this week, and then kind of wrap it up. So it's going to be a short and sweet, but hopefully get everything you need. 9K or above, probably most people say not strong. The 5-figure guys, you got Kuchar, Hovland, Jason Day, who won the skins game and did okay at the Zozo top 22nd type deal. Horschel, maybe a surprise being 5 figures, but when you look at all the data, he's right there. Coming in pretty good form. Has played here 2 of the last 3 years, a miscut in the 21st. And then Finau, who's not really coming in the best form. He's played here 3 of the last 5 years, every other year, oddly. He's got a 7th, a cut, and a 16th. So that's one of those guys where I'm like, you missed the cut, but he's got 2 top 20s. So definitely, gettable for him at 10-6. But my top guy I like is Hovland. I expect him to get talked up, but he's got 19 rounds on my stat model, so pretty good for a young guy at 11-2. He's number 1 across the board for me in a stat wise. Obviously limited size, but not too limited for a young guy. Finished okay the last couple of events, T31, T41. He did play here last year. He missed a cut, but he did play here, so I like that he at least got that experience. So even puts me on him a little bit more, but I have a feeling he may be chalky. And I don't know how many people want to jump on like a Jason Day that's 11,000. So I could easily move to him per se, depending on ownership type deal, or maybe move some shares to him, be even to the field on Hovland and go overweight on Day type of deal. I don't mind playing Day here. I'm not real pumped up about him, to be honest, but if he is kind of turning around, he's finding his irons and stuff like that. I definitely don't, elite wise, potential wise, ceiling wise, he's got to be one of the top ones in the field. But Hovland's number 1. The number 2 is Russell Knox. Mentioned him earlier a little bit. $9,300, 30-1 betting wise. For me, he's got the number 1 course history, even though he hasn't won here. He's just the most consistent. T48 at the Shriners and a T28 at Houston. He hasn't played since Houston, at least on the PGA. My throat's really dry, so you're going to have to listen to me drink a little bit throughout the pod. I'll pull a little Kenny Kim, although I don't have alcohol. Maybe I should tonight. But he's real consistent here. So the 4 years he's played, he's finished really high. I don't know how many people want to jump on 9,300. If he gets really chalky, I don't mind passing on him. But as of now, I really like Knox. Neiman being 9,800 really, I don't want to say surprises me because it seems right, but I don't know that I see Victor as $1,400 higher than Neiman. So I don't mind dropping off that and playing Neiman. He did play here last year. He made the cut, nothing special, T60. He had a 12th at the CJ Cup, a 33rd at the Zozo. He's top 12 in my stat model, top 10 in my rolling stats. So, overall, just okay. I'm not like, overly on him this week, but as far as pricing where people may go, I definitely like him. A round table guy that I would bring up would be Abraham Answer. He was kind of like my next level of guy that I looked at. I don't know if I can get used to a Lanto Griffin at 9,000 yet. But if everybody's feeling that way, I certainly don't mind going to him. Obviously, he won the Houston Open, hasn't played since then. So I don't mind going to him there. I don't know how many people won't, but people maybe jump on him right back on him. And so that'll be an ownership decision. A lot of the up top stuff for me will kind of be pick and choose my spots and then just be more concentrated on who I'm going to go to down low, because it's really going to matter this week on the down low part, because there's just few and far between once you start digging into the cheap guys. My next tier, 7,600 to 8,900. I love Griot. He's number 1 in my model overall. Although he doesn't putt well, he seems to putt well here. Or let me rephrase that. He putts well for Griot here. This is his 4th straight year. The last 3 years, he's got a 10th, a 9th, and a 15th. So whatever it is about this situation in place, Griot loves it. He's 3rd in my stat model. He missed 2 cuts at the Safeway and Shriners, and then he backed it up with a T26 and a T30 at the CJ Cup and Zozo. So I like him a lot at 8,900. I think that's a little actually underpriced, although he doesn't really have that win potential everybody kind of says. But for 8,900, I don't need him to win, although I'd like him to. A T15, T20 type number gets you right in the ballpark. So Griot, which I imagine will be chalky, which probably never ends up well. I like him. JT Poston, 8,200. Similar to Griot, 4th straight year. He's got a 35th, a 14th, and a 21st. He missed the cut at the Shriners, but then the last 2 tournaments, the Zozo and the WGC, 2 top 27 finishes. I like that. Top 16 in my stat model. 50-1 is a good betting number, potentially maybe on that. And then last but certainly not least, I'll go back to our boy HV3. He's got a 5th, a 6th, and then a missed cut. But the missed cut was 4 years ago, 4 years ago now in 2016. Well, 3 years ago, technically, I guess, depending on what season you're looking at. 4 straight made cuts for him, though, on PGA. Made a cut at Safeway, Shriners, CJ Cup, and Zozo. T48 at Shriners, and all the rest were T27 or better. Anytime a guy like that, especially the less than driver per se, or where the driver isn't as crucial, brings a guy like Harold into the mix at $7,900. I love him this week. I'll be on him for sure. I really don't care what the ownership is. Some of these guys you just got to play. My third tier, 7,500 or less. Number one, which will probably get talked up like he has been the all fall swing, is Xingjiang Zhang. Great fall swing. T7 at the Safeway, T16 at the Shriners, T4 at the Houston. Played the WGC, did start out great on fire. Finished T38, which isn't horrible. He's 11th in my stat model, limited numbers though. He did play here 2 years ago and got a top 20, so I like that. $7,300. I'll be on him. I'm sure he's going to be super chalky. So I may have to play some games there depending on what contest you're going to be in. And we'll get into that a little bit later on in the week, tomorrow or Wednesday, especially on the E9 with Tambo. My boy Doc, I like Doc here, $7,100. He hasn't played here. Again, doesn't worry me per se, but doesn't have to bomb it off the tee. Great ball striker, great approach. He's going to hit fairways. Yet to be seen how he putts here. That's probably kind of the only worrisome there. We don't know. It could be great though, right? It could be like Griot. This may be a place where it's all equaled out and it's fine. If he can putt great, which I think he can make clutch putts. So I'm not putting him in a bad putter overall, but we'll just see because he hadn't played here, obviously. He missed a cut at Safeway, but then T42 at the Shriners, T13 at the Houston. Played well there. He's 4th in my rolling stats. He's also a limited stat model, so take that a little bit with a grain of salt. Don't know if the 20 under type deal fits his game yet, but I do think he can go low. So I mean, he can get a lot of birdies. He makes the cut at 7,100. That's all you really need right now. 6-6 this week, I think, will be low. So I like his upside, so I definitely don't mind Doc. Then right at the 7,500 mark, I like Russell Henley. T29 last year. That's the only time he's played it since 2014. 2 straight made cuts at the Shriners in Houston. Nothing special in those made cuts, but decent. Top 3rd in the field of putting splits for me this week. 13th overall stat-wise, 18th in course history, and 12th in rolling stats for me. So at 7,500 and then 75 to 1, I definitely will probably have him in a bet. My free bet of the week, by the way, is Zhang I saw him at 80 to 1 on Bovada. I haven't checked 5 dimes or the other places yet, but 80 to 1 or better, I'll take that number on Zhang. I don't know if he can win or when he'll win, but he certainly has a game and he's been competitive enough to be right there. So I like him. Our last tier, if you're new, is a flop, a fade, and a sleeper. Flop is just someone we think won't return value no matter the price. It's just, dollar per point type of deal. We don't think he'll get there. A fade, you could be fading someone because of ownership, course history, recency, any of that kind of stuff. You're just purely fading. And then a sleeper is anybody 6,900 or less. My flop is Denny McCarthy. Simply because I think he'll probably get some notice this week. Pretty solid ending the last, to the fall swing so far. 2 T9s at the Houston and Shriners. He's played here the last 2 years, so he's at least familiar with the place. But man, he relies so much on the putter that only a T68 and a T41 and at $8,400. I think I'll just maybe take the bank on that he's going to get highly talked up. Maybe not highly, but be owned enough that I can just move off that way. Because stat-wise, he's 88th in my rankings. Just the pure stats, which doesn't bring putting or anything into it. So I don't like that. I just there's enough there for me to say, okay, if he's going to get talked up this week, I'll go elsewhere and fade Denny McCarthy. Or I'll call my flop. And then my fade is Keegan. I expect Keegan to get talked up a lot. $8,600. Obviously, elite talent-wise. He played here in 2015, 2016. He has a T8 and a T15. He had a 24th at the WGC, a 13th at the Zozo. Missed a cut at Houston and a 70th at Shriners. I mean, he looks good in the model for sure. I think he's 30th overall for me right now, but just rolling the dice on him being highly talked about and owned. That's my fade of the week. If for some reason he's not, I definitely don't mind putting him in the mix come Wednesday. We'll update that as we get some ownership numbers, but that's kind of, Monday we have to project something, and I project him to be highly talked about. So he's my fade this week. My sleepers, it's a difficult week down low. We'll say that. You'll probably hear a lot of balance. A lot of these guys are going to be in the round table for me. It was real tough for me. I think I'm going to go kind of off the wall a little bit with James Hahn. There's several of them I'll talk about here in a second that could have made it. He played here last year, so I like that. He got a 29th, a 68th at Shriners, and a 23rd at Houston. And then his stats, he's top 30 for me. Course history, just mentioned, top 20 for me. $6,400. Excuse me, sorry. 200 to 1 is worth a top 5 type bet. If you're out there in Tambo world and you get to each way, I certainly wouldn't mind doing something like that. I just love the price there, 6,400. A super, you can take a risk there. It frees you up to be balanced. So you don't have to go up high. You could be balanced. And then with him in there, it really lets you stay like everybody else above 8,000. So if you do Hahn, everybody else, a bunch of 8,000 guys, or maybe like Hahn and HV3, and that leaves you quite a bit of money starting with those two, and figure it out from there. At least keeps you in the high 7,000s and above, depending on where else you go. But for sure, you easily fit 8,000. So I like something like that where you don't have to go low this week just to get a high guy, because there's not like anybody that's just popping all over the place. But if you want to go Hahn and Hovland, then that lets you start building there and kind of build out a team. So I like the 6,400. But there's tons of guys down here that I'm worth taking a risk on, especially in the MME build. These newer guys, Scott Harrington, Robbie Shelton, Seb Straka, who we've been, in and out. Can he ever finish it? Brandon Wu was a guy, T17 at Houston, played a little of him. So the MME builds this week are definitely in play. To mix and match some of these guys is what I would do. Mark Hubert at 7,000 flat. Definitely like him. He's been talked up a bit. Nagels was on him a little bit. He got a 2nd at Houston, a 42nd at Shriners, a 13th at Safeway. He's limited stats, but he's he's number 4 in my model. He has played here in 2014, 15, 16. Nothing great, a 49th, a 77th, and a miscut. But I like that he's familiar with the place. He rates out as one of the better guys in my putting splits for Palspalm. So overall, I don't mind him either. So there's some guys down there you can take some flyers on and then mix and match up top. Brian Stewart, kind of a veteranish type guy that you could trust, has played here 4 of the last 5 years, top 9. 2 years ago, top 35, and then a T71, and then last year missed the cut. Not putting too much into that, but certainly a guy to keep an eye on. Other roundtable for me, Finau, I'll be interested to see if he gets talked up. I don't think he'll be hyped up, which will put me on him. But if he is, I don't think I'll eat Finau chalk this week. But if he's kind of under the radar or people are going elsewhere, I certainly don't mind him. Harris English, right at 8,000, a guy I like this week. T4 and a T33. Doesn't have the best course history here, which will probably put some people off. I do think he's playing better golf right now than he has in his career, but he's got a T37 and T68 here, and then 3 missed cuts in the middle, 15, 16, and 17. So be interested to see how he gets talked up, but he's a guy to keep your eye on as you're going into builds. He putts well as far as the putting model goes, as for me. So English was a guy that I like. Hadn't seen much Cameron Champ since the win. He missed a cut in the T23rd. He did play here last year and got a top 10. So I like that. Keep him in the back of your mind. 8,700 feels a little cheap for him. And then probably last for me, I got 2 more guys on roundtable that kind of stick out. One's Kisner. Does he got a little fire in his belly after the no captain's pick, but potentially captain replacement for Brooke? Played here last year in what looks like the first time, at least since 2014, missed the cut, but he's coming off a T66 and a T28. He's 8th in my stat model and 3rd in my rolling stats. So talk about not needing the driver off the tee and all that kind of stuff. It kind of brings a Kisner into play. My gut says he'll be talked up a lot this week, especially with the President's Cup. Sorry, I think I said Ryder, but President's Cup snub. I do think he may get the call to be the replacement for Brooks if Brooks winds up out with an injury. We'll see how that shakes out. But I don't mind Kisner, especially if he doesn't get talked up. The next, Siwoo Kim. He's played here the last 4 years. He's got a 17th, a withdrawal, a third, and a 26. So I got an asterisk to try to figure out what 2016 was. Did he get a little bad water and little stomach bug and had to withdraw or what? But outside of that, it's played here great. His last 4 tournaments on tour, T49, T55, T26, T37. So 4 straight made cuts. One of the top putting splits in the field. We are limited on those stats, but I do like that. Zach Johnson's right there with him. So both those guys are guys, as far as just putting wise, I like. Zach's a veteran, but Siwoo, he's kind of on the radar for me this week. Don't know how popular it'll be, but 7,400, I certainly like him. I kind of rounds it out. I'm not, obviously by myself, I'll have to kind of get used to what kind of format I want to go to. I don't want to just start listing off a ton of guys. But certainly, be with us Wednesday night when Tamo gets back in. We'll come back together. There's certainly, I mentioned Garnett a little bit, Ortiz, Fratelli, these guys that I've been on for a while. Chris Kirk coming back off of the alcohol rehab program that he was on. He's played here 2 of the last 3 years, a 7th and a 48th. Probably rusty, probably not in play, but 6,400. He certainly has the talent to do something there. So a lot of talent there. When you get down low, there's a lot of people that, just not much information there, a lot of miscuts. I think balance may be the way, but there's a couple guys that I mentioned that could certainly play. So you get down and you're trying to do some tiebreakers. You may pick one thing you're focusing on this week, like a Gooch. He's not really up there for me, but, he T41 2 years ago. He's made 3 straight cuts on the tour. Recent form other than that wasn't great, but, kind of long-term form, if you want to call it that. But then you could take some flyers on some of these newer guys, Matt Naismith, coming off the web that aren't going to be as talked about as much as some of the big boys up top that we've already mentioned. So, this is a week that you can take some flyer chances. I'm going to be kind of tighten up the core. I don't know if I'm going to go MME yet or a bullet. This looks to be a super tough week to go bullet live. So I may, toss 100 in the $5, $8, whatever it is. I think it's $8 this week. Something like that. I hadn't really decided yet. Been focused on, football, NBA. We got a lot of things going on. I got a lot of things going on behind the scenes that, I hadn't got into golf yet, but I will be in. I'll be playing. I'll update some stuff tomorrow, and then obviously we'll roll into Sunday. Betting wise, I mentioned Zhang's obviously was 80-1, but short odds, I don't mind Grill. I just don't know. I mean, we talk about this all the time. If I got to think they can win, I just don't know if he can win. But Poston's probably Poston, English, Varner are all right there. Guys that I would take a look at. 50-1, 40-1 type numbers. Neiman at 25-1 short. That I don't mind him. I think short number, but for the field, I don't mind him coming back and winning. Cameron Champ 40-1. I certainly don't mind him. Kisner 35. Those kind of guys are the guys down low I probably like. Zhang was one I mentioned 80-1. Henley 75-1. Munoz 66-1 is someone that I got kind of marked to take a look at. Obviously, Siwoo I just mentioned 70-1. Certainly don't mind him. Kind of a longer odd. Scotty Harrington. Redmond, I'll probably, he's a FOMO no matter what. So, I'm going to bet him, but 100-1 there. Hubbard at 100-1. Don't mind him. Stewart, I mentioned maybe. Straka, maybe. I don't know. I just don't see Straka closing yet. So it makes me hard to pull the trigger there. Brandon Wu's got talent. We like him. 150-1, certainly worth maybe a top 5, top 10 type of look. Super dart type deal. Andrew Landry, obviously, he's proven himself on the tour. He has not had great history here, but 200-1 maybe seems a little bit out there. That's kind of it. I mean, there's probably some deep value down low. Dahlman's a guy I like in general. I enjoy him and Gino, great guys. He's a T23 and a T41. This is his style, of course. I think he could excel at. 125 to 1, $6,800. He's right there on the border with like a Bronson Burgoon. We know we're going to have a fun bet on Ryan Armour. I hadn't mentioned him at all. Let me look him up real quick before we log off here, since I know it's pretty short. Yeah, he's right there, 46. Man, this is flashbacks to the John Deere. I can go HV3, Armour, Burgoon, Dahman. I can just recreate the squad and let's go win 100K, right? No 100K pots this week, but maybe 50K in the $8. Definitely like Armour. I missed him. That's terrible. That's terrible on me. I'm sorry, Mr. Armour. That's horrendous on me because you won me some major money in the past year. 90 to 1. He's top 45 overall in my model. He's got a 21st and a 55th out here. He missed a cut in 2014. That's kind of long ago. At T23 at Houston, I'll have some Armour for sure. I definitely will bet him. You guys know that as a FOMO, but I don't mind him. Short off the tee, so this kind of puts him in play. He can get hot with any of them and throw some birdies out there. So 7,200, he'll be in the player pool for sure, especially on an MME type build. I can't really throw it to anybody for their final thoughts, so I'll just wrap it up. I know I've been talking for a little while, but it'll get, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Give me feedback. I'm not going to rush to try to find a partner on the podcast. Tambo and Kenny do a great job. So I think between the two pods, we can kind of get you two different flavors. If I go solo for a while, one thing I will do, I didn't have time because this kind of came last minute to me, but I'll bring in a section where I can talk a little more strategy and contest selection and bankroll management, since it's just me as well as the player pool. But, we can all talk about the players and regurgitate and blah, blah, blah. So I'll still hit the guys I like, but I'll kind of go in a little bit of how I'm thinking of that week, as long as it's just me for now. Always in the market trying to find somebody that wants to do the pod and kind of fits our style. But as always, join Tambo and myself Wednesday night. JB can correct me if I'm wrong. We've been off schedule, but I think it'll be 8 o'clock Eastern for E9, which we're back to a normal schedule, so we don't have to worry about China starting early. So 8 Eastern E9, then we'll do 9 o'clock. We'll start the coin flip. So back-to-back for Tambo and I Wednesday. 2 more weeks of that this week and next week, and then we get a nice little break from PGA, recharge our batteries, knockout football. Tambo made King of the Beach yesterday. Saturday, I qualified for the College Football World Championship. So great weekend for us, great week overall. Certainly hard work put in to get there. I've obviously been on a cold streak, well documented. I'm not beating my chest that like I killed it last week, so let's ignore everything else. That's not it. It's all about managing through those times. And if you guys think that I'm immune to that, that's not true. You can, I reach out to the boys as well and need those kumbaya moments with OG and Tambo and JB and all the guys as well. We all go through difficult times in DraftKings betting and all that. And if you don't, you're fooling yourself. Or someone's out there saying they win all the time, they're full of shit. I'll just tell you that. They just are. The best and the best don't do it. You can't maintain it. Some of the best in the world shoot for 55, 56, 57%. And some of these higher up betting contests and DFS, guys have six-figure swings, where they lose and lose and lose and lose and lose, and then they'll hit, for 2 or 3 months, that just offset that. So it's definitely a grind, no doubt. And I've had one, and last week was really well for me. NBA crushed it. Our content is absolutely fire. Educating me. I mean, it was Sundays. They kind of take the day off. And so it's kind of build your own lineup. And I still wind up doing a pretty good lineup just from what I learned from those guys. I'm not, high on the horse to say I don't learn from other people, because NBA is not my thing, but I'm certainly smart enough to understand what they do and educate myself from them. And then ultimately it comes down to the Slack. I mean, our Slack in any sport you're in, you'll learn something every day if you just pay attention and are involved in there. So it's a cool community, especially coming together. I never thought we'd get into the daily stuff. As MLB comes along, that's another one that's daily. It'll be fun to see guys, even if they're throwing in a $5, $10 lineup every day, just to have some action based on the stuff they're learning. It's cool to see the community come together in another sport. NBA couldn't have had a hotter start than what it's had right now. Saturday night, we'll have the Audible. If you don't join us Wednesday, just FYI. Other than that, pretty short and sweet tonight. Next week, RSM Classic. Looking forward to it. We'll see you Wednesday night. For JB behind the mic, myself as always, GC community. Let's have a great Monday night. Hopefully we all crush Monday Night Football. I know it's the final King of the Beach qualifiers are out there. I know a lot of guys are getting into those, but be on the lookout for the Honda Classic giveaway details. We will be blasting that all out this week. Go support us in buying some gear, buy a combo package to get you another ticket. Kevin, always, you're in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you for the shirt. I'm wearing it tonight as we finally got a little cool weather. Get to wear a long sleeve. He sent this to me from his fire station that he retired from. It means a lot to me. Love you, brother. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you Wednesday night.
SmashFactor.